Steve and Maria Green believed that Michigan's medical marijuana law would protect them. But as of 6 weeks ago, both were facing felony drug charges in Oakland County, and Ingham County Family Court Judge Richard Garcia ordered Child Protective Services to take their baby Bree away from them until a trial to determine if they were fit parents. Now it seems that their activism has forced the legal system to take a closer look. 3 weeks ago, Oakland County Judge Leo Bowman dropped all the drug manufacturing charges. Now, on the eve of the custody trial, the family's attorney, Joshua Covert, was able to hammer out a deal to bring baby Bree home.
It was kind of a surreal moment in the car on the way home, and
that's her. She's making noises.
Yeah, just to hear her in the back seat was almost like a new experience again.
But yeah, getting her was sensational. There was no. We were kind of worried about the return policy. There was none of that. She just held her up and said, here's Bree. And so it was real nice to just be able to, grab her and hold her and, like she said, run to her. Kind of felt like one of those movies where you see them run into each other, except she couldn't run.
And, not only to go through this, but to go through it while it's playing out in front of all of us, in front of the media, to have so much attention brought to it. What has that aspect of it been like for you guys?
I'm just glad that people can now be aware of things that are going on, and minor aspects of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act that have been ignored in the past and that people don't really understand, and the general public not really knowing that these things are still happening to families and good families. And so having that public awareness has been so valuable to us.
And what do you think the outcome of your case and this situation playing out, the impact it will have on other families, like you said, that are still battling, we're still battling with what are the rights of medical marijuana patients? How do you think that'll impact the more broad discussion and debate going on?
I hope that it'll have a very positive impact on other families, on how Protective Services treats other marijuana patients and their families. And I hope that everybody can kind of learn from the situation that has happened here and, do everything in their power to not go through the trauma of taking a child away.
Do you think you helped educate the judge and the prosecutor in Oakland County and the judge here?
Gotta hope so.
Yeah, I would think so. I think in both cases we've seen some opinions change, and you could see it in their face as well. And part of that, they say, when you have a job like that, you become hardened. Everyone that I arrest as an officer lies to me. Every defendant that comes in front of my court lies to me. So I think it's probably a double struggle for them to be able to want to see somebody that's doing the best and the right thing they can, and so I think they're faced with two problems. One is, for so long marijuana's been taboo and bad in some aspects. So they get used to that, and then to change their whole mindset on marijuana's kind of extreme, and then to do that doubly with, maybe this guy's not lying to me like they all do. So I think that's a struggle, is having a neutral viewpoint like that.
I felt some of the comments that I heard in family court, for example, must have been difficult for you to hear. The implicit idea was that somehow you were criminal people who were trying to slide through on a medical marijuana, under the medical marijuana law. And that had to have been difficult to hear.
We have gotten that several times, where people, even in the general public, have said, the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act is just an excuse for people to get high, or everybody has pain, and that kind of thing. And the fact of the matter is, we voted it in as a people because our population is compassionate, and there are many, many different conditions that are treated by it. There are many different ways to take it. There's a lot of education that still needs to take place, and those kind of statements that all you are is just a criminal is just coming from uneducated people who have been taught one way for so long, and it's not always that way anymore.
I wasn't at the trial earlier, but the judge last time had been concerned because Bree had tested positive for a very small amount. Was that a false positive, or what happened to change that today?
Nothing happened to change that. That test, we had been planning on debunking that test at trial, and then trial is what has been postponed, so that didn't get brought up at all. The test as it stands is as it is. Still just an allegation, and this was a way to go back and say, okay, well, despite the tests, no matter whether it's true or not, these are the services that we're going to put into place so that Bree can come home.
Kind of.
Oh, sorry.
Kind of like at one of those hearings where you were at, and they said, someone brought up, isn't there any services? Isn't there anything we can do? You know, our primary function as a unit, all of us here together, is to keep the baby and the family unit together. And that was real resistant. People would say, no, there's nothing we can do. This is the only thing we can do is remove her. When in fact, these are the services that maybe should have been offered at that time. But either way, we're just, I mean, like I said earlier, I would die for her. But it's awesome that I don't have to face that choice.
Any Halloween costume plans for Bree?
Yeah,
does.
actually, she's gonna be a ladybug.
Not a big marijuana leaf.
Oh gosh, you guys will just love that one, huh?
I'll help sew one.
She could be a clone.
She looks happy.
Could you guys ever imagine starting the week thinking that this is how the week would end?
No, I absolutely. I was getting nervous about the trial for next week, saying, "Oh my gosh, it's only a week left. We have so much to do still." And even when I thought we were gonna have trial and we were gonna be, by the end of next week, looking to hopefully get her home. And so the idea that happened a week sooner than I was even anticipating is fantastic, and I would have never dreamed it.
Get diapers?
No,
Cloth diapers.
we use cloth diapers, so those all came back from Nana's house.
But yeah, this is definitely not the week we had in store. There's doctors from around the country that were flying in, and so it's been, between everything, it's been really hectic. But it almost feels like a vacation just to hold her. So it's.
Steve, there were a lot of people. There was a case back in January where you testified at the hearing. And you called me after that and asked me to take down the video I put up of you. And then you called me back, I'm afraid there'll be too much backlash. And then you called me back and said, go ahead and put it up. And do you feel that you became a target and ultimately that played a role, but it did also save you?
Yeah, I think that is a very good observation, and I think that maybe coming forward and being so honest about how marijuana helped my problems and really saved my life, maybe that caused me some of the problems and backlash, as you said it. But then being so outspoken and public about my whole life, as you guys have mentioned, there's not anything we hide or hold back, and that's what kind of gave us some reassurance through the whole thing. As we know that everyone else would view us as the same. I could be their brother, cousin, you know what I mean? So we weren't really worried about people's opinion, and since it ran one way, it ran the other way, and I think that public opinion was able to be so strong on our side, it helped with some of the.
Interestingly, all across the nation, marijuana activists are getting their kids taken away. I don't know many activists who have been outspoken that haven't had CPS involvement, and some of them are still waiting for their kids to be returned, and we're looking at a year later. And so this is definitely something that it doesn't just happen here, and it does. I won't say that yes, that made us a target, but there's definitely a pattern that way.